So I'll give you a real quick brief overview. What all three of these budgets basically depict is looking at the annualized numbers for this year and trying to adjust accordingly, just so that it's a real, an accurate depiction of what we anticipate next year, except for salaries and then the POAB, retirement fund, and then I wanted to discuss retirement contributions. And we took the numbers. We looked at the annualized for 2020 on the salaries. Then we looked at the actual positions that we have allotted, whether they're filled or not, because obviously our goal is to fill them. And we added on this, I'm talking specifically about the sheriff, we added a 3% increase, cost of living raise. And we looked at that, and we added that, and that's essentially where the salary line comes from. And in doing so, I really got to talk about the sheriff and the jail kind of on the salary issue. I've really got to talk about them kind of at the same time, if it's okay with y'all. It's not just us. I don't want to say that it's just woe is me. It's law enforcement across the nation, not just the state, the nation. We struggle to find people to work. We even struggle to find people that we don't want to hire in today's climate. We're pretty picky about who we give a badge and a gun to. So we struggle. What we like to do here is we like to hire people in the jail and work them for 18 months, a couple of years, and get a feel for them, how they treat people, how they act, how they react, and then send them to the police academy. We like to grow our own deputy sheriffs from the jail. We found ourselves in a position lately that we're having to seek out we're having to seek out deputies or certified officers from other agencies because we can't keep the jail full of employees enough to send people to school and then pull them out of the jail. That is our number one issue, and for that reason we are looking at even more than 3%. We're trying to tighten the gap between a detention officer and a deputy sheriff on the salary starting level, just a little bit. We can't do it, and we can't make it. There's different professional certification levels that we shouldn't really make it, equivalent, but we're trying to tighten that gap some in order to try to retain and attract more and better detention officers and retain the ones we have, the good ones we have. And I'll talk about them in just a second. I'm going to brag on my detention staff. But that's where the salary increase is coming from. Let me tell you a prime example, and I talked to Charlie about this on the telephone back during August. I was actually out with China virus, and when he called, and we had a good conversation, and we were talking about staffing for a particular reason, but staffing issue became very quickly the conversation. We lose employees. If you look at Gilmer, Fannin, Pickens, Murray, even Dawson's a little higher. I guess they have a pretty good tax base with the outlet mall sitting over there on 400, but they're a little skewed, but they're a little higher. But if you look at the immediate surrounding areas to Gilmer, we're very competitive with our pay. We're pretty competitive with our pay and benefits, relatively speaking. But if you go beyond that 20-minute drive, east, west, or south, if you go beyond that 20-minute drive to the very next level, our starting pay for a deputy sheriff today is somewhere in the neighborhood of, I can't tell you exactly off the top of my head, but it's about 38.5 or 39. It's about, let's just say 39. In 2019, so we're looking at 2019, incoming PD, they were advertising heavily. It was blasted out on social media and the internet. Their starting pay is $41,500. That's with no experience. It's brand new. Send you to the police academy and put you on the road. But here's the next level, and this is where I'll lose the most people. This right here, that 0 to 2 year mark. I'll lose them in about 18 months to 2 years. 48,000 is their next. That's their starting pay. If Cumming PD hires someone from Gilmer County with 2 years experience, they will start out around $48,000 a year. That right there is a huge draw. Cherokee County for South County, I've got one now that's in the final stages of the hiring process for South County. We can't compete with that. So I'm having to fight with that. Bring it back in closer to the immediate surrounding areas. I'm having to fight with local PDs because they all pretty much have, no matter how small they are, the cities pay for their municipal retirement. And it's not a huge pension program that they can retire and move to Florida and drink little fruity drinks with umbrellas for the rest of their lives, but it's something. It's something. I'm having to compete with that. That's why I'm attempting to do the buyback on the POAB, which only affects a small portion. That affects the people that have been here and stuck it out through thick and thin and have been with this agency for at least more than 10 years. It only affects them. The retirement issue, I lose people. I lost a deputy to Jasper PD. The cities have very competitive pay with ours, but they also have that municipal retirement. I lost a deputy about a year ago to Jasper PD. I've got another one that's looking. No, I'm sorry. I got another one that just went to Jasper PD, and I had another one that's thinking about it. It's being basically, I don't want to say recruited, but hey, come on down. The grass is green down here. And I'm losing those 0 to 2 year employees, sometimes 2 to 5 year employees for a municipal retirement. So I've got to be able to keep, we have not increased our deputy patrolmen on the road really since the year, well, and these are not deputies patrolling on the road. These are just the deputy sheriff level since we built this building. We've not increased more than 1 or 2 here and there in 14 years. We need to, but we can't even think about that right now. Why would we think about increasing our staffing levels when we cannot keep the positions that we have allotted, budgeted for filled? To keep my patrolmen, my deputies, to keep those positions filled, I need those filled, but I need the ones in the jail filled too, so that when I have an opening, I've got 2 or 3 detention officers that's already been to the police academy. They're certified. They're just waiting to be transferred out, and we pick the best of what we got. Now, a few minutes ago, I was talking about hiring detention officers, and I said something about we want to attract the best, the best employees that we can. I've got a lot of under 20. Well, I won't say a lot. I've got a bunch of 20-year-olds at the jail. 20-year-olds. That's not that would normally worry me. Not that 20 years, I'm not talking about young people, but I've got 20-year-olds not running it, but they're operating a detention center. But let me tell you about those 20-year-olds. We go through it's a pretty stringent hiring process to work here. And we look really, really hard at the people we hire. And if we don't feel good about them, it doesn't matter if we have 5 openings and we're interviewing 5 people. And those 5 people we're interviewing, if they don't look, if something gives us the uh-oh feeling, we don't hire them. We'll work short before we hire somebody that's going to cause us a problem. Back during August, I was out, I got COVID, and I got it at the jail. I feel certain of it. I mean, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I feel certain I got it at the jail. And so I was home. My jail administrator was out. At that same time, we're already short. I had 4 other detention officers that were out with COVID, and I had 6 inmates with COVID out of 100. I was talking to my second in command, who was left, the highest ranking official at the jail that was left working. I was talking with him about 3 or 4 times a day. Have you done this? Chris, have you done that? Yep, Sheriff, I've done it. I've done it. We've done this, we've done that. We're working with our nursing staff, our medical staff. They said this, they said that. We've done this, we've done that. It may go south today. So I'm going to knock on wood. It may go south today. But we contained, I say we, I was at home sick. I wasn't sick, but I was at home isolated from the world. Those 20-year-olds and those other folks that I have at the jail, they kept that contained to 6 inmates. That was phenomenal. And I applaud them. So I'm very pleased with my folks that I've got working, those 20-year-olds that I talk about. But I got to be able to keep them. And if I'm not able to be very competitive, as much as they like their job and as much as they like me, hopefully, they're going to go somewhere else. That's what these budget increases in salaries and the retirement issue I would like to discuss based on the conversation that Charlie and I had. But that's what this depicts. My opening's over, so I'll take questions.
I'd like to know the difference because I see retirement contributions, so explain.
Okay. All right. The retirement contribution line is the county's 457 plan that they may or may not contribute to. A lot of them do, some of them don't.
And we put in 25 cents on the dollar.
Right. The peace officers' annuity and benefits is it's basically $20 a month. And let me explain that as simple and quickly as I can. That POAB fund is set up very much so like a sheriff's retirement through the Sheriff's Association. You have to have so many years to be vested. At the end at your retirement, when you retire, I think POAB is at 55.
Spend 30 years and 55.
Yeah, that's the maximum. Is 30 years. You're vested with 15. It used to be 10, but I think it's 15.
15, yeah.
Okay, you're vested, you have to be in it 15 years to be vested. But the maximum is 30 years. It pays a certain dollar figure times the number of years you were in it. And that would be your monthly retirement figure. And it's not, maximum right now, the maximum payment, and it just went up. The legislature just passed a bill this year, this session, to raise it to the maximum. It's like $920 a month. So it's not, it's not, you can't go home and not do nothing. It's just a supplement. And that's at 30 years. So that's the difference in the two. The buyback that I talked about last year is I have about 28, I had about 32, and I've lost a couple of those. I had about 30, let's say 30. I've got about 30 employees that have been with Gilmer County longer than 2014 when we started paying that. We started paying that for them in 2014. I have about 30 that were here prior to that. And I would like, I'm proposing that we buy back the up to 5 years, that's the maximum amount of prior service that you can buy back. I'm proposing that we buy back that time for them in order to, just as a benefit of a long-term employee.
What line is
Is that the POAD?
POAD.
Okay, so that's a one-time jump?
It's a one-time, yes, one time, however, the figure would be more than what, it would take a couple of years to get them, it would take a couple of budget
Couple of
years.
jumps to get.
Yes, to get them all done. I was talking, let's do half this year and half next year kind of thing.
Well, what was confusing me on the POAD line, 46.5. So what you're saying, that would be for half.
Yes.
But when we were talking about this last year, we were looking at $300,000.
Yes, yes. I talked with, I was basing that on some bad information. Now, this may not be pinpoint accurate information, but it's more accurate information. I talked with the director of the POAB since budget time last year, and the buyback amount, the figure, was going to be much lower than I was estimating. Now, the longer that an employee, from that time period that you're buying back, the more time that increases the interest, and what it is interest, the more that price goes up. So it's kind of a number that, like for Sandy, if we were buying y'all back, Sandy's buyback figure is going to be different than yours, and yours is going to be different, Karleen's, but they're going to be close. But it's not near as bad as I thought it was going to be initially.
what's contract services?
That contract services is like our records management all these computer programs that we have, the maintenance, the yearly maintenance agreements and things like that. That's the best analogy.
Copy your leases.
Yeah, leases on like copiers and things like that.
Is that projected figure at 6,000 close to right, or we know for the current year?
Where are we at?
Contract.
Second page. Second.
So
Contract services
Second line on the
sometimes,
second page of the, sorry.
I'm not trying to speak for Stacy, but I know what I see in our office, contract services sometimes include annual one-time payment things. So the 86,000 is probably a little high,
Okay.
Yes.
but for sake of ease and convenience, I put a formula in and
What about
I
ammunition?
copy it and then try to tweak it a little bit.
Ammunition is, basically, we order that stuff about once a year for the most part, but it's about $25,000 worth of ammunition for training.
Already spent 26,000 this year, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And y'all
That's
correct me
usually-
if I'm wrong, y'all usually order ammunition, what, once or twice a year?
Yeah.
Twice a year, maybe max?
Yeah, that shouldn't,
So
that
that
shouldn't go.
probably is, you
Yeah.
know, that annualized number's a little bit high.
That's right.
So,
And as I understand it, the vast majority of that is used in training and so forth for having actually.
thank goodness.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We,
Thank
I hope so.
luckily, we only spent about $1.50 on, well, no, we shot a few times. We've only spent about $2.50 in 16 years.
In action.
Of actually shooting people.
I hope that's all you spend next year.
That's not, I shouldn't have said that, but it's true. I just shouldn't have laughed when I said it. It's serious, but
Except it was funny.
it is.
I'm new to this game, so this is not a good question or a good comment. I'm concerned that last year, the sheriff's office and the detention center substantially overspent the budget. Are we saying that if this budget is approved, you'd be able to stay within the budget? I'm trying to get some comfort. If everybody overspent,
Right.
we'd be in the middle of the hedge.
Yes. I
So-
understand where you're coming. You know, Hubert, to answer that question is, we certainly would try. And we certainly do try.
Well, let me phrase it differently. If there's something comes up, we need to address it. If you see something comes up, likewise, if you see you've got too much money, which hopefully you will have, then you need to let us have some back. So we need to adjust rather than a surprise at the end of the year.
As far as having too much money, I can give you my word that if I ever looked at about November and I said, I'm not the type of person that will go order a bunch of stuff just to fill out that budget, but I will say this. That's easy to say because I've never been in that position. And please understand that I understand y'all have a certain amount of money to divide out amongst all the county government. I get that. We did go over budget. We went a lot less over budget from what I estimated that we were gonna have to have than what we got. Now, having said that's kind of a bad statement, but there's a certain amount of stuff we have to do.
Yeah, that statement. Bob, you're saying you're gonna spend what you got to spend, heck with the budget.
No,
That's the way it came across.
That's the way it sounded, I understand, that's the way it sounded. That's not the way I
But we
did
gotta
it.
work together.
Right, that's right.
One other comment, and then I'll be quiet. I know you have positions and you feel like you need to fill them. Could you eliminate some positions in order to give, or in order to have better starting pay?
I don't think so. I honestly don't think we can eliminate, even, we actually do that. We're doing that right now. We're holding a position, a supervisory position. We do that quite often, and it usually bites us in the butt like a mean rattlesnake. We're holding a position at patrol right now. We had a lieutenant leave us, and he didn't leave us for South County or Cherokee or Albany or nothing like that. He went to Edward Jones as a financial advisor. I mean, that's the first. That's the first. But we're holding his position, and we're going to hold it as long as we can to try to make up. So we do that kind of thing. Here's what, if a supervisor leaves, we can try to suck it up and hold those. I don't want to eliminate it, but they're not leaving typically. It's my folks answering the calls or running the jail, and we can't hold those. We have to get them filled as much as we can.
Are we talking about detention at the same time? Right. Group insurance, Sandy, one of them.
So that's kind of fluctuated quite a bit, but I thought,
It's supposed to be amended budget, and I thought it was an increase.
I think one factor there is not everybody takes it.
Right. See,
But if there's been,
are you talking about the difference between what was,
was reduction in the requested amount,
right? That really
That's-
just depends on
I guess,
the employees and the, you know, the coverages that they take. There's a big difference between an employee that takes single coverage and then an employee that takes family coverage. And when those, because of, you know, the way they, not that they have a ton of turnover, but just, you know, somebody leaves that had family coverage, somebody comes in that only needs single coverage, you know, that's one of those constantly moving.
we spent 75% of we're through 75% of the year. And we've got another 40,000 to spend. That would be 235,000. I'm just concerned about that, about that being too low.
Well, I tried to also, well, this kind of goes the other way. I'll double check the number, but I tried to, the insurance numbers on all of these spreadsheets are based on that department's employee census at, you know, in July or August when I started doing these, but I'll double check it.
I apologize. I thought we were going through September 30th. You're talking about 7/31.
Right, that's when I started on these spreadsheets, so we don't have as much time. And that could have changed, you know, since July.
move on to 911, I just had the question of the big jump in increase for salary. For E911, for the increase in salary.
It's 3% cost of living raise in there, but the, I think the annual, the estimated amount didn't include, because I questioned that myself, when Kim was helping me, Kim Rogers was helping me put these numbers in, and she came up with a different number than I did. We both had a calculator, we both punched in the same, I thought the same stuff, and we came out with two different numbers. She had, it's one of those scenarios that the annualized estimated 2020 didn't include some unfilled positions that we have, that we certainly, I actually think they are filled now, but they have just recently been filled. So it's just, it's probably a couple of salaries in there that was not, it's not new people, but it's filled positions that were being looked at as unfilled at the time. And then a 3% cost of living rate.
Because, same thing with the insurance, the actual at 7/31 is based on the most recent payroll.
Right, that's right.
And you may have had some.
Yeah,
empty
I think
spots.
then we were running a couple or three people short, and she has, her spreadsheet is like looking at yesterday as opposed to a snapshot at the end of July. One thing we went to E911, one thing, I know on the capital are we going to talk about capital expenditures? But one thing on the capital expenditures on the E911 is, Frank Copeland tells me we must upgrade our computers down there because GCIC is going to sanction us it's an upcoming date. I think it's at the end of this year. They will sanction us. I don't know what that necessarily means, but GCIC is very powerful in the law enforcement world. If we don't go to Windows 10 from 7,
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's going from 7 to 10, but if not, it's something like that.
We got into this budget.
Yeah, it's into the,
Capital outlay, I believe.
6,000.
So the 6,000.
That's what's in
yes.
it. Have they completely finished the UPS upgrades down there?
We'll find out.
I'll find out right now.
What'd you say that was an upgrade for,
Their computer
Computers.
systems, I guess. it's the
because of GCIC?
So basically, you're talking about PCs, not servers.
It's a tough, listen, I understand where y'all are at, and I understand this county, I do. But my world is rough right now, law enforcement is rough. It's really, the morale, even my folks are loved in this community. In North Georgia, law enforcement is loved, and they know it. But they can't turn on any social media, or they can't turn on the TV without seeing the armchair quarterbacking of everything that's done in their line of work, without the political BS that's going on about defunding the police. And it brings their morale down. I've got folks that's done that, they love this, and they've done this for 20 years, and they don't want to do it no more. And I'm trying to explain to them that we're going to come through this time period in history. Hopefully, we're going to start coming out of it about November the 4th. Hopefully.
Let's hope so.
But it's tough to keep employees right now. It's tough to keep them, and we have to remain competitive in their benefits and pay. When I started, we talk about this all the time. When I started work for Billy Bernhardt in 1991, I was given 2 used uniform shirts, 2 used pairs of pants, the end. The end. I had to have my own. Had to have my own belt. I'm talking about trouser belt, shoes, vest, badge. We bought our own stuff. And we were one of the last in the area, in the, above I-20. We were one of the last agencies that did that. Hey, I can't even remember, I'm pretty sure in 1992, I think I was in 1992, I was making like $6.50 an hour, pretty sure. We've come a long ways from that. When we hire someone today, now we do reuse our uniforms. If we have a short timer and we bought them uniforms, and we've tried to, even at the jail, we tried to go, which they wanted to, it's more comfortable, but we've gone with a less expensive uniform at the jail. We try to utilize our used equipment, but when someone comes to work with us today, if all they had to their name was a pair of blue jeans and flip-flops and a t-shirt, the first day they showed up for work, they would look like a deputy sheriff, from head to toe. We give them everything. Pay is, there's no comparison of the pay. Even when I became sheriff in 2005, the pay has increased dramatically. But we played catch up for 10 years, and we've played this game since. And we have to remain competitive, or we're not going to have folks working. And that's not a gloom and doom threat. It's just a fact.
Upgrades have been done.
Okay.
They're complete.
I appreciate your
I know those were bad when you-
comments. I appreciate what you do, and
Thank
thank
you.
you for answers.
That's good to see.
Of course, you know, we, this is sort of the question and answer time. It'll still be a while before we'll know what the budget actually turns out to be.